So Geoff, thanks so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's an honor to have you on. This is Super Bowl weekend. The show is the Shabbat show. So basically, the show is the weekly show that we broadcast all over the world, just to sort of mark the times Thursday nights to prepare ourselves for Shabbat. And this weekend, it's a special weekend because it's Super Bowl Sunday. So Super Bowl Sunday is a holiday as far as I'm concerned. So it's a holiday weekend.
They need to give us Monday off. It needs to be a federal holiday. They need to give us Monday off or do it President's Day weekend. Back up a little bit so you have that Monday off, because you're right. The game is at 6:40 Eastern. By the time it's over, you get a long halftime, got a lot of commercials. It's like 11 o'clock. You're fired up. You're ready to go. I was up till 4 a.m. last year celebrating the Chiefs' victory. And like the next day, I had to wake up and go to work. Like, no, we should have Monday off.
I'm with you. We'll work on it. I'm trying to work from the Jewish angle, see if we can get the rabbis to make it a Jewish holiday as well. They'll just make the food we eat like a mitzvah. It'll do a whole thing for us. I think if you work the federal angle and I work the Jewish angle, it's going to be one heck of a weekend.
I agree. Let's do it.
Amazing. And it's so great to have you on. And as a football player, it's so a lot of the show that we're talking about is really the depth of the game, right? Yeah. It's not just the ball. There's so much that sports in general, but football in particular, brings to lessons in life. And, someone who's played the sport, you've played it professionally, your career is amazing. To really be able to speak to someone who's on the inside and talk about the lessons you've learned about being a football player. So share with us a couple of things. And in particular, you yourself, you're a professional player, which didn't just come out of nowhere. You worked your hardest to get there. You were around people that had done the same, that reached the professional level. What do you think are the ingredients, if you will, of greatness that you see that takes place on the field that maybe we're not watching because we just think people just show up and play, that you've been able to see because of your path?
So my high school football coach had a saying. He would say this to us before games, said, "Who will rise above adversity?" He said before every game. And that's often the difference in winning and losing, right? Especially in life. A lot of us are dealt kind of the same hand. Now, obviously, I had naturally gifted body. I was able to do that. But plenty of other people in my shoes have the same body I do, but just didn't work as hard, right? Did not know how to overcome adversity, did not know how to overcome hardship, did not know how to overcome when things didn't go well for you, did not know how to overcome just the mental blocks you have when you play sports. And games, look, we're going to see a game on Sunday that's won or lost in 2 or 3 plays, right? 2 or 3 plays here and there. And it's how do if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense and Pat Mahomes, and you call it great defense, and Pat Mahomes still beats you anyways, how do you overcome that? Do you fall in the tank? Do you bow back up? What do you do? How do you overcome adversity? I think those moments, and part of that is how you train, part of how you mentally talk to yourself. All that is part of how you overcome adversity. But again, I'm telling you, like I was a 7th round draft pick. I was drafted lower than I thought I'd be. Then I got hurt a bunch in the NFL. I got hurt 7 times in the NFL, 6 surgeries plus another injury. A guy in my position should not play 8 years, because a guy in my position in the 7th round doesn't get the benefit of the doubt that a first rounder gets. Yeah. And for as hurt as I got, to continue to play throughout all those years over 4 and really 4.5 sort of teams, in my opinion, all comes to how I handled the downs, how the surgery, my rehabs, my mindset, and really with help of family and faith, and be able to kind of use those as a kind of a backboard for me as well. To me, it was how I overcame adversity.
So let's delve into that, because not only did you play, you were as I say, you were an all-star. You were highly regarded. You were considered to be really one of the best at your position. And so, take us, if you can, to the field. And I want you to, because you're in the game, right? There are fans. You make a move. Maybe they call a penalty on you, and as a result of your move, that 20-yard positive play gets pulled back, right? Yeah. Someone gets around you. What do you use live to enable you to get over adversity in the moment?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of it has to do with trusting your abilities. So, I was the way I kind of approach life in general, and this I think helps with sports. And this takes time, right? It's not just I'm 34 now. It's not really the way I thought at 22, but definitely the way I think now is that if you do the right things, okay, and this is very much, I think, in the Jewish background of mine, and all of ours, I should say, like if we do the right thing in life, I believe that helps you in the bad times, right? So for example, let's say that I've done all the training I have to do for that week, right? I'm prepared, I'm focused, and yeah, you're going to get physically beat one time. It's going to happen in a game, but I know that I've still put in the work to overcome that. If I did not put in the work for that week, right? I didn't prepare like I was supposed to. I'm not physically ready. I'm not mentally ready. Then yeah, one bad experience could ruin that for us. It could ruin it for
Right.
all of us if we do something in life and we're not fully prepared for, and adversity happens, and it happens earlier than you think, you don't have anything to fall back on. Well, guess
Right.
what? If I get beat for a sack, I have all my training. I have all my confidence. I can still play the game because, hey, I'm ready to play, right? I'm prepared. And so I think that when you kind of do what you're supposed to do to prepare for things in life, when there are those hardships, you're able to fall back on your preparation to get you through it. And the more confident you are in your abilities to do any sort of task, any adversity that happens, you should be able to power through it. And so that's the way I looked at it. If I got beat for a sack, it was, I cursed myself out. I walk back to the sidelines. My coach might yell at me. Then I forget about it. I get ready for the next play because I know I can still play in this league.
Yeah, it's an amazing point that you bring up, and this applies in so many aspects in life. There's a famous rabbi named Rabbi Nachman who said that one of the greatest aspects of the most negative part of a sin is it convinces you that you're a sinner,
Yeah.
right? Which is the hanging on. I'd love to just for a minute discuss this because people don't believe it, and I think professional athletes own this trait more than any other. And tell me if I'm right. You guys have an incredible ability to move on.
Yes.
You make a play, you're in front of millions of people are watching your move, right? You mess up.
Yeah.
And you don't just mess up like a regular person, you mess up in front of everybody. And everyone watches. And then for 3 seconds in life, everyone's and somehow you go back, you come back on.
Yeah.
How do you get trained for that? Like how do you get to a place where you get to like, I messed up.
Yeah.
It's another play.
It's funny you mentioned the fans because when I played, I didn't hear them. Like I still can visually remember, like in practice, I wasn't a very good practice player. I was much better in games. Like I think that the fans and the big stadiums like really honed in my focus on game day. I didn't really pay attention to that. And I think that's partly why, like, we're so used to playing in the spotlight. We're so used to making mistakes because look, there's no sport where you're going to be perfect. Even the best are going to have failures. And so while you might be MFing me, I'm just like, all right, well, I made a mistake. Like, let's not have, let's not have it happen again. Our pride and our confidence takes over to not let us have more mistakes. I think that's what it is. We're just kind of used to failure. And again, it's a game though, right? So it's not a failure of life. It's not a life and death failure. It's a failure in a game. And when you approach it as a game, it is a business, of course, but when you approach it as a game and hey, we're going to have errors. I know a lot of players don't have that clarity. A lot of players do not understand that you're going to make errors. It's just a matter of limiting as many as you can. Then it kind of frees you. It frees you, right? It frees who you can be as a player. And it's really hard to figure out. It's much tougher when you're a younger player to kind of get over those failures. But when you understand it's going to happen and you should do everything possible to limit those, and you're able to just make it work. And there are times when you doubt yourself still, right? Everyone has that self-doubt when you continually make errors. But again, I think it goes back to your preparation. If you're prepared to play, an error is not, in your mind, is not as big of a deal as when you're not prepared to play. Because then you think, oh shoot, again, like, oh, I wasn't ready to play. I gave up a sack. Here we go again. Where, if you're prepared and you get beat, then you just get beat. But luckily in our sport, we have 40 seconds between plays. It feels more like 30 by the time you get in the huddle and break. Like you don't have time to think about the play you just screwed up, right? Like you don't, so we're trained from an early age to not really worry about the last play anyway. So all those factors, I think, help us forget when bad things happen.
Yeah. It's so interesting that when you're playing at this level, there's so many lessons, and this clearly is one of them. And I think if we all live this way, and we saw ourselves as really being a work in progress, right? Yeah. And you get the next moment and the next moment, we become greater. One of the things that I find to be fascinating about football in particular, I'm sure it happens in every sport, but it's something interesting about football that everyone knows about it. It's film. Yeah. Like even fans, I know even you on your YouTube channel, I checked out that you had put in film. You were showing film for those who are watching that aren't following, film is this obsession that football has
Yes.
with watching the game. And you're looking at a field, there's 40 cameras,
Yeah.
and they have film sessions in film rooms. And how much time, and the reason why this is so critical in life is because introspection is important.
Yeah.
And as a football player, someone who doesn't understand the sports, like you just get on and play, but someone who understands says every move has been thought about, analyzed, reviewed. How much time, as someone who's been on the field and in the game, how much time do you think goes into either prep or review of the game vis-a-vis the actual game itself?
Yeah, it's so funny you mention that, because I do sports media now. The one thing that is so still, I've been doing it for 3 years. It's so, I still can't get over is we don't get feedback, right? Like you mentioned film. We practice 30 minutes later. I'm in the meeting and the coach is telling me if I did it right or wrong.
Right,
and in the media, I might go a year and my boss, I talk to my bosses, but they're not like, good job, Geoff, or you suck. Like they're not, we don't get any feedback. I've learned that no feedback actually is pretty a good thing in sports media. So yeah, look, I think that the mental part of the game is more important than the physical part. We can all, by the time, especially now by the Super Bowl, I mean, you're not even practicing really. Like you know what to do. Your body knows what to do. It's a matter of your mind. And so like for an athlete like me, and even for someone like my brother, we're not the most athletic football players, right? We're never going to find us winning the combine. And so for us, watching what's around us can help us move quicker. So if I know that I have a defender in front of me and I see the safety kind of cheat on down, that my defender is going to go inside, well, that makes me play faster, right? Because I know where my guy's going to go. And so that's all what the film is. It's reviewing your technique, obviously. And of course, if you do anything in life and you film it and you go back and watch it, you can improve. It's much easier because your mind will play tricks on you, right? Your mind will tell you something that happened. And there's a saying that we use, the eye in the sky never lies, right? Because you might think you did something, you watch the film, and it's never as good or never as bad typically, but you see exactly what happened. And so you're able to make those changes, and then you're able to anticipate, you're able to watch the defense or watch the offense and kind of get a game plan together to go and execute. Cause it's way more mental than physical by the time you get to the NFL.
Yeah, what a great concept. The eye in the sky never lies. I could see a lot of divine connections there.
Yes.
So, let's speak a little about, you mentioned your faith. I know that you're a proud Jew. I know that you've spoken about it before. You listen, you're one of the few, man. Like you made it. How many are there out there? Do you even have a minion? Do you have I know that you were looking
for one. NFL,
there's
so Mitch, Ali Marpet, who's playing this weekend for the Bucs. He's their left guard. He's Jewish. Julian Edelman. There's not many of us anymore. And it depends if we want to be liberal with like the mother-father thing, depends. That makes it, maybe there's more in that way. So yeah, not many of us.
So you're really the few, the proud, the Marines. You're representing our people on the field
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how Judaism and how your faith has shaped you and what impact it's had on you.
Well, so I think I mentioned earlier about doing the right thing. Like, I've talked to many of my teammates about their religions. Religion is a big part of the locker room. And I say this all the time, people ask me why that is. And here's why I think it is. It's because when you play sports, right, they're physical, right? And you have to kind of get your mind in a way that you might not want to do regularly. And a lot of people use religion for that, right? They're able to kind of wrap their head around the physicality of the game, the kind of the hardship of the game, just through religion. And I think that a lot of players, that's their backbone. And I love it. I think that we can all talk about different religions. And we did. I talked to a lot of my teammates about religion. A lot of us, a lot of them, I should say, did not really know about Judaism. And we had some fun conversations.
I'm sure.
But I think for me, in kind of gathering how, I grew up in the faith and other people did, is I just think the concept of doing the right thing. Like I know that it's easier said than done, but I just feel like Judaism, like that's the backbone, right? Is like, you just be a good person because you're supposed to be a good person, not because of punishments, right? Don't do good because you might be punished later in life. Do good because you're supposed to do good. That's what we are supposed to be as humans. And my wife always says to me that her number one thing she appreciates about me is that I always do the right thing, even when it's hard to do. It's what my dad taught me to do. And that comes down to just doing things that are tough in life. Like my dad early in life, in high school, I remember I had a problem with the coach, let's say. He didn't talk to the coach. He made me talk to the coach. 15 years old, going to talk to a 45-year-old basketball coach about why I'm not playing enough. Hard to do, right? But that was the right thing. I had to fight my own battles. He's not fighting my battles for me in life. And so little things like that along the way. And I think that's where the Judaism part came in. It's just kind of growing up in the synagogue, obviously bar mitzvah, and I went to a little bit of post school after my bar mitzvah as well. My kids are now in the synagogue. My kids went to, still go to Jewish preschool in Charlotte. And I just think like the idea of doing right because you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to be a good person. I think it's been really helpful for me in life.
Oh, amazing. That's really amazing. One more question. I know that we have we have one more question, and then we'll just
we're good.
We'll pause. I want to talk about your brother, right?
Yes.
Is we got a big game coming up this weekend?
Yeah.
And now your brother is. We're all we know that JPP is going to be a big problem for the Chiefs, and without your brother, it may be very hard. Give us a 2-minute as to how's your brother doing and what's his status.
Yeah, I mean, he's been out obviously for 3 months now. I would not expect him to play. I don't think I'm breaking much news now. But it's been tough, because he was so good for so long. He was four-time All-Pro, and his Super Bowl last year was incredible. He was amazing in the Super Bowl, and it was really fun to watch him, blossom in the playoffs. And it's tough, right? I mean, it's anytime that your team wins without you, like there's everyone hates to admit this, but I think it's definitely true. I've been injured a bunch. I know the feeling. Like when someone takes your place and you have a value that you assign to yourself, right? You assign, okay, I'm this valuable to the team. And then someone takes your place and the team just continues to win. You're like, that kind of like it's an ego shot, right? And so I think it's a little bit, I haven't talked to him about that, but I have to imagine that that's part of this as well, right? It's tough to not be out there when you're winning Super Bowls, when you're going to Super Bowl again. And so I imagine it's been tough for him to not play this year, and obviously, not play this weekend. But it's fun to watch the Chiefs play, man. They're so good.
Awesome. They're so good. So thank you so much for being on the show, and really, we appreciate who you are and what you mean to us. And thanks for shining your light on this world.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Go Chiefs.
Thanks so much for watching. For more content, like and subscribe, and be sure to tune in live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern at theshabbatshow.com or right here on YouTube.